Tonight, breaking news, a Category 4 hurricane barreling toward the west coast. The powerful storm rapidly gaining strength as it churns in the Pacific. The first ever tropical storm watch issued for Southern California. Bill Karen standing by with the latest track. Plus, a rare tornado tearing across a highway in Rhode Island. We've got it all covered. The grim search for the missing still underway in Hawaii after the stunning resignation of Maui's top emergency official. Why he's stepping down after defending the decision not to activate sirens as the flames overtook Lahaina. Emergency evacuations ordered in Canada, where raging wildfires are closing in on several cities. The race to get those residents to safety and how those blazes will affect the air quality right here in the States. Overseas, religious violence erupting in Pakistan. Mobs attacking churches, setting fires in the streets, while the conflict between Catholics and Muslims is reaching a boiling point, and the mass arrest made as officers moved in. Ex-wife charged with murder. The stunning twist in the case of a Microsoft executive who was shot dead in the street in front of his child. Why authorities believe his former spouse was the mastermind behind the deadly plot. Plus, the late-breaking news on former President Trump, what sources say he's decided about attending the first Republican debate next week, and the discovery off the coast of Maryland that took 12 million years. The rare fossil just brought back to shore. Top Story starts right now. Good evening. I'm Ellison Barber in for Tom Llamas. We begin Top Story tonight with severe threats on both coasts in terms of weather. We are tracking a major hurricane heading for California. But first, take a look at this unbelievable video. A confirmed tornado tearing across the highway in Rhode Island. The driver of this Tesla capturing the funnel from multiple angles. That same powerful system triggering flash flooding in Massachusetts. But the huge weather threat we are following at this hour is Hurricane Hilary. This is a live look at the radar. You can see that Hilary has now strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane. Winds reaching 130 miles per hour as this storm intensifies off the coast of Mexico. The storm moving northwest at about 12 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall on Sunday in Mexico before then taking aim at California, where a tropical storm warning has been issued for the first time in that state's history. 24 million under flash flood alerts across 4 states, with this storm packing potentially record-breaking rainfall. Bill Cairns is standing by with the very latest track. But first, NBC's Antonia Hilton leads us off.
Tonight, terrifying moments during the morning commute. This tornado tearing across a Rhode Island highway, one of at least 3 to touch down in New England. The storm also ripping massive trees from their roots, leaving homes drenched and backyards reduced to a tangled mess.
About 30 seconds of hell, that's what it was.
Meanwhile, another historic storm is barreling toward the west coast.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime event that we're going to be experiencing.
Hurricane Hilary is currently a Category 4 storm with winds of 130 miles an hour. Though it's expected to significantly weaken, officials warn there could be extensive rainfall, flash flooding, and mudslides.
FEMA has prepositioned personnel and supplies in the region, and they're ready to respond as needed.
A tropical storm watch has been issued for Southern California for the first time.
We haven't seen hurricanes out here, and I've been calling my friends in Florida to try to get some advice on how to handle it.
California has not the best track record with driving in the rain.
Some areas like Death Valley and Palm Springs could see 2 to 3 years worth of rain in 2 to 3 days.
How different will the impacts of this on the West Coast be as compared to what we see happen in the East Coast, the Southeast?
In Southern California, we have very dry, desert-like surfaces that don't absorb that water. So as soon as that rain starts hitting, we're going to start seeing flooding.
It's been 84 years since a tropical storm hit here, a region accustomed to fires and earthquakes, now bracing for a different kind of natural disaster.
Antonia Hilton joins us now from Seal Beach, California. Antonia, what are authorities telling residents there in Southern California that they need to do to prepare for this massive storm?
Ellison, they are urging people to get out and get food, batteries, tarps, and sandbags while the weather right now is still good. And then on their part, they are getting swift water rescue teams and aircraft ready for immediate response, and they're doing outreach to homeless populations so that people are as safe as possible. Ellison.
Antonia Hilton in California, thank you. And as Antonia mentioned, while Hurricane Hilary may weaken before it makes landfall, it is still set to pack a punch in the west. So let's get right to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, what is the latest on the track?
Good evening, Ellison. And with every tropical system, whether it's storm surge or flash flooding or river flooding, there's one thing that's common in all of them. Water is the issue. And that's going to be the biggest problem with this storm. Just because it's on the west coast, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change a thing. So the storm has all of this tropical moisture. You're looking at all the thunderstorms wrapping around the center. It's not going to look anything even close to this when it gets to California. But all of that moisture is in the atmosphere, and it's all heading northwards. And it's heading into arid deserts. It's heading into 8,000 to 10,000 foot mountains. So do you have tropical moisture in 8,000 to 10,000 foot mountains? It doesn't happen anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. That never happens. So that's the kind of rarity thing that we're going to be experiencing. Notice it weekends. By the time it gets to California, the key period is going to be Sunday evening, sometime around 5 p.m. to about midnight. That's when the whole storm will be flying. The storm is moving at 30 miles per hour. It's going to be in, it's going to be out in a hurry. Excellent agreement with all of our computer models, almost right over the top of San Diego, and likely going just east of Los Angeles. Wind damage, maybe 5% of the overall total damage monetary-wise. About water will probably be about 95%. There's the warnings, and there's those watches that erupt from Malibu southwards all the way down to San Diego. Flash flood warnings already around Vegas. This is monsoonal moisture, not associated with the hurricane, but this is the problem, Ellison. When we see areas possibly getting up to 10 inches of rain, we're going to have communities that get cut off. We're going to have mudslides, rock slides, debris flows. The mountainous areas outside of the cities is where all the devastation will likely occur.
All right, the time is to prepare right now. All right, Bill Cairns, thank you. We appreciate it. It has been 10 days since one of the deadliest fires in U.S. history ripped through Maui, and the region's top emergency management official has now resigned after criticism over his decision not to sound emergency sirens. This as the death toll reaches 111, with crews still searching for the missing. Miguel Almaguer is on Maui.
All right, we're going to follow squad 3 down here.
As the grim search for the missing approaches its 11th day and the death toll continues to climb, tonight Maui's top emergency management official has resigned. Citing health reasons, Herman Andaya has stepped down amid withering criticism. He literally failed to sound the alarm.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not.
As the nation's deadliest fire in more than a century ripped through Lahaina, Andaya never activated the emergency sirens most often used for tsunami warnings, saying had he done so, he feared the public would have moved towards the fire in the hills.
Counties in the state of Hawaii will tell you that sirens have not been used for brush fires.
But Maui County's website lists wildfires among the very hazards sirens can be used for.
The siren is instant, immediate. It's going off. Something's going on. I'm alert. It's sort of difficult to believe that you would be compelled to run toward flame.
Amid the growing frustration, a new NBC News review of public meeting records found Andaya repeatedly downplayed the use of sirens, calling them a last resort.
If I would have had access to that button, I would have pushed it.
Do you think the sirens going off would have saved lives?
I do, yeah.
Andaya's resignation comes as Hawaiian Electric faces multiple lawsuits alleging the utility is to blame for igniting the fires. The power company says it doesn't comment on pending litigation, stressing the causes of the fires have not been determined. It comes as the death toll balloons to well over 100, with more than half the burn zone searched.
I'm heartbroken, bro. I'm heartbroken. Words cannot explain because I keep hearing of, people I know that I care about is still unattended for.
With upwards of 1,000 people still unaccounted for, the few who have been identified so far are mostly the elderly. The latest, 71-year-old Donna Gomes, known for her tough love and big heart. Perhaps closure for one family, as so many others brace for the same.
I want accountability. It destroyed more than half of the people we know, and just now, we're seeing the pictures of for seeing the faces, the pictures of the people we lost.
Tonight, the pain here unimaginable, as is the loss.
Miguel Almaguer joins us now from Lahaina. Miguel, just heartbreaking stories of those lost and those still missing. The pain is incomprehensible for most of us. The search, though, it is still ongoing. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, listen, at this hour, it remains underway, and we just learned that the ATF is now actually on scene. They join their federal partners like the FBI. They are trying to get to the bottom of the cause of this fire. But again, here, it is just a heartbreaking scene behind me as families here are awaiting word from the ashes. Ellison.
Miguel Almaguer in Lahaina, thank you. The search for the missing compounded by the search for answers for the residents of Lahaina. More than a week after the evacuations, that overwhelming sense of loss remains as they face the reality of what comes next. Tom spoke with one resident, Dustin Kalaiopu, last week, just after he lost his home.
This is unprecedented. The footage that I've seen of my home, my hometown, there's nothing left, nothing to go back to. My family is thinking of just leaving the island completely. We have nothing but the clothes on our backs right now. Everything is gone.
And Dustin Kalaiopu joins us again tonight. Dustin, our viewers first met you a week ago. I know a lot of people have been thinking about you and thinking about your family. How are y'all doing tonight?
You know, we've moved on from that initial shock, the initial sadness. Now we're just trying to figure out where we're going from here as a community, as a family. Everyone's just trying to figure out what the next steps are.
Do you feel like you have access to resources, people, organizations to help you navigate those next steps, or do you feel like more help is still needed?
I think I'm one of the lucky people. My family's been really fortunate to have access to donations and family members taking us in. But there's still a lot of people out there who don't have the same needs.
You know, we've learned a lot more about the lack of warning before the fires. Do you feel like more should have been done when people are talking about these alarm systems, the idea of sounding them and whether or not people would have run towards the wildfires or if they would have at least just woken up and known something was there? What do you think should have happened? Should they have sounded those emergency sirens?
I understand the concern that if the alarms were sounded, people would have assumed it was a tsunami. They'd want to head to higher ground. That's what we're used to. But the siren would have made people at least turn on their radios in their cars and, you know, start to get activated and start to move and know that something was wrong. So it could have been a help, but I can't say for certain.
You and your family escaped the fire. You are safe now, but you do have friends whose families, they were at least missing. Do you know if they've gotten any answers or found anything out about where their family members are?
That woman you showed right before I came on, Donna Gomes, that is my friend Tihani's grandmother. And I had to watch her posting on Facebook to different groups asking about if anybody had seen her. And then I see that she's on the newspaper with her mom giving a DNA sample. Like, this is all really fresh every day, hearing more names of people that we know. It's a small community, so of course we're gonna know these families.
For people who are looking at this and trying to wrap their head around the gravity of the situation, trying to remember that the numbers are people like you, what do you hope they remember the most right now about what's happening to the people of Lahaina?
That although we're hurting, but we're a strong community, and we are making sure that our voices are heard, that we won't let this happen again, that we're working together to move forward as a community.
All right, Dustin Kalaiopu, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are glad again that you and your family are safe, and thank you for helping us continue to shine a light on this story. We appreciate it.
Aloha.
Now to the growing disaster to the north. Thousands of Canadians forced to evacuate over the ongoing wildfires. Thick plumes of smoke covering towns as emergency officials try to contain the massive fires. NBC's Emily Ikeda has the details.
Tonight, our northern neighbor awash in an eerie red glow as more than 1,000 blazes sweep across Canada in the country's worst wildfire season on record. Officials say half of the population in Canada's Northwest Territory has been displaced, now blanketed in smoke. Lines at gas stations stretching down roads as residents geared up to get out ahead of the weekend.
When you see all this, I honestly want to get out of here.
Towering flames now at the doorstep of one of the remote region's largest cities, Yellowknife. Throngs of people there boarding buses to escape the fire danger. While more than 1,000 people left on evacuation flights, according to officials.
Just before I left to go to the airport today, another community was evacuated, Kikisa. I've never seen anything like it, and I've never heard anyone speculate that in my lifetime something like this would happen.
Further south in British Columbia, residents watched in horror as thick plumes of smoke darkened the sky.
It was like 100 years of firefighting all at once in one night. There was a significant number of structures that were lost last night, and we're going to do our best to improve that.
Smoke from the flames streaming into the U.S., impacting Minnesota and Wisconsin today. Americans have felt the effects of Canada's wildfire season all summer, worsening air quality to record levels in parts of the U.S. Scientists warn it's more fallout from climate change's impact on fires.
It's concerning simply because you just don't expect to see it, and if you can see it, you know that you're breathing it.
And tonight there's mounting frustration from Canadians trying to find information about the fires on Facebook. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, started blocking Canadians from viewing or posting news links after the government there passed a bill that would require big tech to pay local news outlets fees for showing their content.
I'm asking them to go back on their decision and allow people to have access to news and information.
In a statement to NBC News, a Meta spokesperson said people in Canada can continue to use our technologies to connect with their communities and access reputable information, pointing them to a feature called Safety Check. Tonight, Canada's wildfire season blazes on, leaving evacuating residents unsure of what they will return home to.
Officials say the next few days in the firefight will be absolutely critical in protecting the city of Yellowknife, with changing winds and little rain in the forecast. So far this year, more than 34 million acres have been burned by wildfires in Canada. To put that number in perspective, that is 20 times more what has been scorched here in the U.S. Ellison?
Emily Aketa, thank you. Next tonight, a strong show of unity among the United States, Japan, and South Korea as President Biden met with those countries' leaders at Camp David. This as threats from China and North Korea play out in the Pacific. Senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has more.
For the first time, President Biden hosted an international summit at Camp David today.
We meet in this historic place to make a historic moment,
bringing together Japan and South Korea, each longtime U.S. allies, but notably the two neighbors only recently softened their own decades of tension. Together now, facing common risks from North Korea's nuclear provocations and China's more aggressive show of military strength in the region, while also recognizing all three countries trade with China.
Today is a day that is not about being against anything. It is about being for something.
Today's summit announcing a range of security and economic agreements, including a new defense partnership to swiftly consult on urgent threats.
That means we'll have a hotline to share information and coordinate our responses whenever there is a crisis in the region.
While standing shoulder to shoulder with world leaders, a more personal matter surfaced after one full week of silence on the appointment of a special counsel investigating his son Hunter's business dealings. The president was pressed to respond.
I have no comment on any investigation that's going on. That's up to the Justice Department, and that's all I have to say.
Today's setting here at Camp David is itself a message about the significance of the meetings. Presidents past have also used this retreat at pivotal moments.
A place that has long symbolized the power of new beginnings and new possibilities.
And Kelly O'Donnell joins us now from Camp David. Kelly, obviously China is a concern for all three of these nations. What more did President Biden have to say today?
very much a part of the substance here, but also under the surface, Ellison. And that's because certainly when you look at Japan and South Korea, they each are strong trading partners with China. So is the U.S. And those complex relationships need to go forward in a constructive way. So China's certainly been a part of the conversation today, but they wanted to focus it more on the relationships between the three countries. That said, it's always about China. A superpower is certainly going to take some of the focus here, and that was certainly the case with some of the military provocations we've seen from China as well as North Korea. The president was also asked at the end of his time with the two leaders if he plans to be meeting with President Xi Jinping of China anytime soon. We've been waiting for a long time for any communication between the U.S. and China at the leader level, and he says he hopes to be able to do that in the fall. Ellison?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. In Idaho tonight, a motions hearing for the suspect in the brutal murders of those 4 college students last November. Attorneys for Brian Kohberger arguing they need more information from prosecutors, including the DNA evidence and methodology they used to tie him to the crime. Joining us now is Andrew Cherkasky. He is a criminal defense attorney and former federal prosecutor. Andrew, let's start with sort of just what we heard in court today, the testimony from multiple genetic genealogy experts. Is that common practice in a non-specific trial hearing, right? This is just a motions hearing. Is that normal to have now?
Right. The defense wants more information about the DNA in this case, and that's important for them because it's very difficult to understand, and that's going to be a key part of their defense, is making sure that the DNA matches what the prosecution says that it matches. So they want that information. They put up witnesses for that, and they made a decent case to get that extra information.
Currently, in terms of the timeline, this case is supposed to go to trial at the beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken. The defendant here, they have not waived their right to a speedy trial. Do you expect the defense team will do that soon? What would you be advising a client to do? Well,
the prosecution really wants this to go fast, but the defense wants the time necessary to get all of the information and prepare their defense appropriately. We have to remember that if he is convicted and gets the death penalty, this will go through years of appeals. And so what the defense and the prosecution need to make sure they're doing is everything possible, because a case like this coming back years from now for a retrial would be tragic for the families as well as anybody else involved.
So the prosecution right now is also asking for more information from the defense team in terms of Kohberger's alibi for that night. They say that he was driving alone by himself. The burden of proof in these cases is always on the state, not the defendant. How much information does the defense have to give to the prosecutors?
Well, the alibi element is a fascinating element in this case because it's essentially a whodunit. Obviously, it was a terrible murder, and Kohberger is now saying that he wasn't the one to do it. So then where was he? The government has to have an opportunity to investigate any sort of information that the defense may present at trial, suggesting that he was somewhere else. So the prosecution wants more information about where he might have been so that they can run that down and create their descriptions of why he wasn't there before it gets to trial.
Since you have been a defense attorney, also a prosecutor, 2 questions for you on that front. On the defense side, what would you say is the strongest and weakest point of their case right now, and same for the prosecutors?
Well, I think the defense case is terrible. I think the evidence is overwhelming against him, but that doesn't mean the defense just has to throw up their hands and give up. In fact, they have a duty in order to continue to fight and run down every lead possible and make sure that everything is investigated, both that their client tells them as well as what they discover throughout their investigation. So they're doing what they need to do. And that's, again, very good because it prevents this case from potentially being overturned on appeal.
Do you expect this to happen in October as planned?
I don't. I think that there is a lot to do yet, and I don't think that there's any sort of intellect in pushing a case to trial that the Supreme Court even could come back and say that that went too fast. So it's important to take your time. This is going to be a case that lingers for years and years, even after a conviction, if that happens. So why rush this and give the defense a reason to appeal on that ground?
All right, Andrew Cherkasky, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Still ahead tonight, the news on former President Trump and the Republican debate. What sources are telling NBC about whether or not the GOP frontrunner will show up on stage next week. Plus, a new development in the shocking murder of a Microsoft executive, why authorities have just arrested his ex-wife and who she allegedly roped in to carry out her deadly plot. And caught by a cameraman, a news crew spotting an escaped inmate while they were putting together a story about him, how they helped police get that man back behind bars. Stay with us. Back now with the new charges in the killing of a Microsoft executive who was shot in front of his 2-year-old daughter. His ex-wife now facing murder charges. Our Valerie Castro has more.
Tonight, the ex-wife of a Florida man murdered in front of his 2-year-old daughter, now facing charges for his death.
Ms. Garner, I will indicate that you're being held without bail.
Shanna Gardner is the third person arrested in connection with the case, and prosecutors say she was the mastermind.
Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan.
Prosecutors say Jared Bridegan was shot several times on a Jacksonville Beach street last year after he pulled his car over to move a tire blocking the roadway. His daughter still strapped to her car seat.
This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder.
The investigation leading Jacksonville Beach detectives to Mario Fernandez Saldana, Gardner's current husband. Prosecutors allege Fernandez Saldana planned the murder while his tenant, Henry Tenon, carried it out. Fernandez Saldana has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, while Tenon pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, agreeing to testify against any co-conspirator. Now a grand jury indictment leading to Shanna Gardner's arrest and a charge of first-degree murder. In response to a request for a statement, her attorney telling NBC News, quote, "I do not comment publicly about pending matters."
Everything in my soul and body told me that she was behind it.
Bridegan's widow speaking out after the announcement.
Shanna's arrest ends one horrific chapter of our pursuit for justice for Jared, and now we open a new one. This next chapter will be excruciating, but we are confident in the ability of the state's attorney's office and law enforcement to bring truth to light.
Prosecutors say they intend to seek the death penalty for Gardner, as well as Fernandez Saldana.
A life was taken, and countless lives are impacted by that, so I believe that the harshest punishment is justified here.
Valerie Castro joins us now in studio. Valerie, have prosecutors said what the motive was here?
So far, they've not released those details, but Gardner was arrested in Washington state yesterday. That is where she had her first court appearance today. She will be extradited sometime later on. She has another court hearing in September, but as the judge said, she's being held without bail.
Such a complicated and disturbing story. Valerie Castro, thank you. Next tonight, a lucky capture in Maryland, aided by an unlikely source. Authorities arresting an inmate who escaped from a prison van, but only after a news crew spotted him while they were working on a story about his escape. Our affiliate, WBAL, talked to the photojournalist who describes the moment he put the puzzle pieces together. Tommy Clark reports.
Stayton County Police spent 7 hours Wednesday searching for Randy Morris. The 38-year-old escaped from a prison van in Annapolis Junction. The command center cleared out around 3:30. Not long after that, a WBAL-TV photographer spotted Morris.
I was in the car editing the story for 5 o'clock, and I just happened to look up from my laptop, and I saw Mr. Morris.
Photographer Mac Finney and reporter Kate Amara were covering news of the escaped inmate.
He gave me his name, and at that time I was calling 911, and I got 911 on the horn. And when he realized I was talking to 911, he started running a little bit through this parking garage.
Amara's cell phone video shows Morris then running away across railroad tracks into brush and down a nearby street. What happened next unfolded live from Baltimore's only news helicopter, Sky Team 11.
Eluding police for nearly 7 hours here in this area. Police left, cleared out. Oh, they apparently, let's go to Captain Roy right now. Roy, did they just nab him?
Yes, they have caught him. We're showing live video right now of the individual
that has just been arrested by local law enforcement here.
Finney says the encounter was surreal and a first for the experienced photojournalist.
This has never happened to me in 40-some years of covering, thousands of news stories.
According to police, Morris was not handcuffed or shackled during transport to a medical appointment. An investigation is ongoing as to how he was able to escape that prison van. Our thanks to Tommy Clark for that report. When we come back, deadly clashes breaking out overseas, mobs burning churches and setting fires in the streets of Pakistan. Why tensions between Catholics and Muslims have reached a boiling point, and the massive crackdown as police moved in, trying to restore order. Stay with us. We're back now with Top Stories news feed, and we begin with an update tonight on who will be on the stage for the first Republican debate. Two sources tell NBC News former President Donald Trump will skip the debate next Wednesday and instead sit for an interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. No details yet on the timing of that interview. The debate will still go ahead in Milwaukee, hosted by Carlson's former employer, Fox News. We are also following breaking news out of Miami tonight. Lolita, the beloved orca whale who spent decades in captivity at the Miami Seaquarium, has died after a short battle with a renal condition. The killer whale, also known as Toki, was preparing for a return to her home waters. At 57, she was the oldest living killer whale in captivity at the time of her death. And a remarkable discovery 12 million years in the making. An exceedingly rare bird fossil was discovered in the Chesapeake Bay, just off the coast of Maryland, earlier this week. The fossil is an almost intact bird skeleton from an ancient gannet. The discovery is highly unusual because bird bones are typically too delicate to fossilize. Moving overseas now to Pakistan, where mobs have burned churches and attacked Christian homes after two men allegedly desecrated a Quran. Pakistani authorities arresting nearly 150 rioters, now searching for even more suspects. Matt Bradley has the latest.
Tonight, authorities in Pakistan cracking down after days of religious violence in the country. Mobs setting fires in the roads of Punjab province, burning 5 churches and attacking dozens of Christian homes. Police deploying more than 6,000 officers and troops, arresting at least 146 Muslims in connection with the attacks.
There was absolutely no logic or reason to attack or ransack the Christian worship places, or the houses for that matter, because somebody who has not done a crime cannot be, punished for that.
Police also arresting 2 Christian men who allegedly tore pages and wrote insults in a copy of the Quran, the holy book of Islam. It was that supposed act of desecration that triggered the violence. Some police have reportedly been fearful to intervene in such attacks in case the mob turns on them. This protester asking, are Punjab police, are they not Muslims? If they are, why are they siding with the scoundrel blasphemer? The Christian community in the region left devastated. This Pakistani Christian saying, when I saw my house, I felt a jolt in my heart. We haven't committed any crime. All this is a grave injustice towards us. The U.S. State Department speaking out against the violence.
Violence or the threat of violence is never an acceptable form of expression, and we urge Pakistani authorities to conduct a full investigation into these allegations and call for calm for all of those involved.
Pakistani officials now opening a probe, searching for even more of the hundreds who took part in the attacks. The violence drawing new scrutiny to Pakistan's blasphemy laws, which says that anyone who insults Islam or its key religious figures can be sentenced to death. In the wake of these latest attacks, Amnesty International calling for the abolition of those laws. Battles over religious desecration reaching a flashpoint worldwide over the last month. Quran burnings in Sweden and Denmark triggered widespread protests across the Middle East. Demonstrators storming the Swedish embassy in Baghdad and setting fires in the streets, calling for the expulsion of the Swedish ambassador. But in Pakistan, the violence is personal, targeting a small Christian community whose place here remains precarious. Matt Bradley, NBC News.
Now to Top Stories Global Watch, and we begin with an update on the efforts to get F-16s to Ukraine. The U.S. formally approving the shipment of the fighter jets from the Netherlands and Denmark in a major win for Ukraine's military operations. But as we reported here last night, after I got the chance to fly in an F-16 myself, these aircrafts require an extensive 6 months of training for pilots, and the start of that training has faced delays. As a result, the fighter jets are not expected to be used in combat in Ukraine until the summer of 2024. On the other side of this war, damage reported in central Moscow after a drone was shot down. Russia says its air defenses intercepted the drone, which they say came from Ukraine, but the falling debris damaged an exhibition center in the capital city. No casualties reported. The drone attack is one of about 20 in Moscow in the last several months. Kyiv has not claimed responsibility for the attempted strike. And in Iran, authorities detaining at least a dozen female activists, according to local women's rights groups. The arrest seemingly part of a crackdown ahead of the one-year anniversary of mass protests that overtook the country. Those demonstrations, led by women, erupting in the wake of the death of Masha Amini after she was detained by the morality police for violating their strict dress code. One man has also been arrested. Coming up next, Rookie of the Year, the brand new firefighter still in training who helped one couple through one of the scariest moments of their lives. That story next. We want to share a wild story with you out of Orange County, California. A newly hired 911 dispatcher keeping cool when he got a call for a medical emergency. The patient in full cardiac arrest, and time was ticking.
Fire department, what's the obvious emergency?
Yeah, my husband just had a heart attack. He collapsed on the floor. He's turning red and purple. Please come.
The Orange County Fire Department had rookies on the job the day Sharon Kilty dialed 911.
How old is the patient? Especially so early in my career, I have to say this was a little unexpected.
Chris Carvalho was a dispatcher in training when he got the call.
He just went down. He made just a deadly sound I can't even imagine. I think it's probably his last breath.
Sharon was desperate after she saw her husband of 34 years collapse after complaining of chest tightness. But Chris knew exactly what to do.
I need you to press hard and fast at a rate of about 100 per minute, okay? You're going to follow this cadence. 1, 2, 3.
My savior, Chris, came on the phone immediately.
He doesn't seem like he has a pulse.
Keep going. You're acting as his pulse right now. Remember that. So just keep going.
Okay. I didn't feel alone in the moment. Helped me get through it.
Firefighters came to the rescue within minutes.
We were able to take over care, start CPR, and deliver that first shock that got his heart back going.
Getting Steve to the hospital, where he underwent a series of procedures over the span of 14 days, turning to family and faith.
He came every day and prayed over Steve and gave him anointing of the sick when we didn't know if he was going to survive or not. We enjoy our life. We have fun together, you know, and these are our golden years to go have more fun. And in the darkest hours when you didn't know if he was going to survive, you have to start contemplating that. And I couldn't imagine living my life without him.
Finally, Steve was released with no permanent brain damage, and a new normal began for these empty nesters.
The fifth one you take 2 times a day, baby.
There's one of these I take twice a day.
A focus on health.
Oxygen's 98.
Now a top priority. Together they're grateful.
It's a minor inconvenience.
For each other.
It's great to be alive.
And they're heroes. They met on the worst day of their lives.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
But now they're a family.
They saved my family. I'm indebted to them. And but we've also said we're now family together. So we'll stay in touch.
It's part of the job and something that we do. When something like this happens, we don't mention it after work, but to have gotten to meet the family, getting to meet people who come out when things go well is really something different.
And now Sharon and Steve are determined to share an important message.
Everyone needs to learn CPR. Everybody can do this.
I think we'd all like to be participants in helping someone survive than being onlookers and watching and not doing a thing.
After all, the golden years are just beginning.
Thank you so much for watching Top Story tonight. For Tom Llamas, I'm Ellison Barber in New York. Stay right there. More News Now is on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.